Jennifer Kesse disappeared January 24th, 2006. She was last seen at her condo on Conroy Road. Police say her car was found about a mile away. So this is what she would look like today.
Hey guys, it's Robin and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Jennifer Joyce Kesse. Okay, so for this case, it's another one of those cases where it's unsolved and just none of the clues are really adding up where they're supposed to be. This reminds me a lot about remember the John Bonet case and also the Maura Murray case where hers was unsolved, and there's like so many possibilities of what could have possibly happened, but like it's still never been found out. So let's just get into the story and the timeline. At the time of her disappearance, Jennifer was 24 years old. She had a great job working as a finance manager and she had just bought a condo. She had a loving boyfriend and was also very close to her family. So her family suggests that they don't believe that she would actually run away. So of course they assume the worst. They assume that something happened to her. As I mentioned before, this case has gone unsolved for over 13 years now. So prior to her disappearance, Kesse and her boyfriend, Robert Allen, had recently vacationed in the US Virgin Islands. They returned on January 22nd of 2006. The next day, January 23rd, would be the last time anyone heard from her. She'd arrived from work at 6 p.m. and talked to her family on the phone. At 10 p.m., she called her boyfriend and he was the last to talk to her. No one was alerted about her disappearance until the next day. Her boyfriend usually received a text or call from her as she was going to work, and all of his calls went straight to voicemail, and of course she didn't reply to any of her texts. He just summed it up to her being busy with work. Coworkers also became worried as it was unlike her not to show up to work or at least call in. So again, they tried calling her and all of her calls keep going straight to voicemail. At 11 a.m., Jennifer's employer contacted her parents to inform them of the situation. Her parents ended up driving all the way from Tampa to Orlando to check on their daughter. And that's about, it depends on where it is in Orlando, but that's about like an hour and a half to 2 hour drive. So it's not like a short drive to get there. They must have felt in their, spirit that something was wrong. So when they arrived, they found that her car was missing, but it appeared that she had been in the condo that morning. There was a towel in her bathroom that was still damp. There were PJs on the floor and there was makeup on the counter. So all of these things indicate that she had left to go to work, or that she at least had been getting ready to go to work. So that very same day, her family and friends were out passing flyers. They were doing search parties. They had the police involved. So very much almost immediately, she was being searched for. 2 days after her disappearance, someone had reported a car similar to the one they had seen on the news of Jennifer's car in their apartment parking lot. And it turned out to actually be her car. The car was processed, but there was hardly any DNA evidence. Investigators believe the car was wiped down. There were valuables in the car, and so that leads the investigators to believe that this wasn't a burglary or a robbery or anything like that. So there was surveillance camera footage at the apartment, but you would think this is like a great thing, a wonderful thing, but it was really, really bad. The camera would snap an image every 3 seconds. The footage literally showed an unidentified person parking her car and walking away, but in every single shot, that person's face is hidden. They're just like the luckiest person ever to have gotten away with that and to have their face obscured in every single image. For the police, the surveillance footage, while it doesn't help them give a face to the person, it does make it clear that there is some foul play involved. Of course, they showed this footage to family and friends, but none of them recognized the individual. So they were able to piece together a slight description on that person. They believe that person was male or female, 5'3" to 5'5", with dark short hair. The way they got the height was there was a fence that was along the way that they were walking, and so they were able to compare the height of the fence to the height of the person, about 5'3" to 5'5", so they got an average height, and that doesn't seem very tall. So I mean, it could be a man or a woman either way, but that doesn't seem very tall. So either it was a very short man or it was a woman. And I mean, 5'3", 5'5", I feel like is pretty much average height for a woman. So Some people have speculated it could be a Hispanic or Asian person because of the height in the photo, but that hasn't been confirmed. There were no signs of forced entry to Jennifer's condo or any sign of a struggle, and so the police believe that she was either abducted on her way to work or on the way to her car. They were unable to track her phone through pings as it was turned off, and her bank account was never used after her disappearance. I just want to make it clear that unlike with the Maura Murray case, where at some points I strongly believed that she had left as her own free will, I do not believe it with this case. I think that Jennifer was honestly taken and something bad happened to her. I don't think she left of her own free will. The items known to be missing are her cell phone, her iPod, her keys, her purse, her briefcase, and whatever outfit she was wearing that day. There have been some leads, but they haven't really led anywhere. Family and friends were questioned about her disappearance and anyone who may have had motive to abduct her. Her current boyfriend had an alibi, and her ex-boyfriend, who was actually upset and wanted to get back with her, was interrogated, and it was eventually determined that he also had nothing to do with her disappearance. At the time of her disappearance, though, there were a lot of construction going on. Many of the workers were illegal aliens, and so she had mentioned several times to her family members that they made her feel uncomfortable by catcalling and harassing her. And so, you know, the police, of course, tried to follow up with those leads, but it was clearly hard because, you know, so many workers going in and out, so many of them aren't, you know, allowed actually in the country, so they probably don't have like the best of IDs or identification. So that never led to anything really. Her coworkers were also questioned after it was discovered that one of them in a management position wanted a relationship with her. But, you know, he was interrogated, the others were interrogated, and, you know, they didn't find a suspect. Of course, there are things like human trafficking that have remained an open possibility in the case, but surprisingly, the police don't think it's very likely. So I live in Florida, and I actually live pretty close to Orlando, like maybe like an hour or two away, and so I found this very interesting. Her case actually received so much attention to the point that the Florida House of Representatives unanimously passed Bill 502, and it's the Jennifer Kesse and Tiffany Sessions Missing Persons Act, and it basically changed the way that missing person cases are handled in Florida. So I thought that was really cool. But to this day, her case is unsolved. The FBI has actually taken over her case, and they are still searching for her to this day. There are so many theories out there that she was human trafficked, you know, murdered by someone who maybe had something against her, or that she simply ran away. But there is literally no telling until authorities crack this case. I believe that her being like kidnapped and murdered is a really high possibility because it seemed like she was just going along her normal day, and then someone just kind of came in and changed the course of her entire day. It doesn't seem like she would run away, or that she had reason to run away, or that she was even planning to run away. With human trafficking, I feel like younger people are usually targeted for this, but I mean, she could have been targeted. And if she was targeted, I just feel like it's not usual for people to be targeted from their house. I don't know, it just seems very unlikely. So I feel like possibly someone coming and, you know, kidnapping her, murdering her, or something like that is very likely, which is very unfortunate. But I really hope that authorities are able to figure out what happened in this case, because this case is such a huge mystery. It's so hard to imagine what could have happened to her from either her room to her car, or from her car to wherever, you know, like it's hard to imagine something happening that fast, and that's so scary to me. I don't know, that's really scary to me. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on this case, guys. I really enjoyed doing research on this case, and I really enjoyed seeing what other people had to say about this case, and I feel like this case is very important because I think it changed a lot of the way that cases were handled now, especially for, you know, Florida. And I think that I just want the family, you know, to have that kind of peace and, you know, find out what actually happened to her. I hope one day this case is solved, and I will definitely be keeping up with it. So that is all, guys, for today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.